Good morning everybody and welcome to this week's Headmaster's blog. It's Friday the 5th of November. I offer you all a warm welcome back to the school on this crisp autumnal morning, having had 2 weeks to recharge our batteries over half of term. When the children walk back through the door on Monday morning, I hope feeling as excited and as exhilarated as we the staff are. It was fantastic to see even more new AstroTurf being laid across where the grassed areas were between the Peter Brooks and the Katie Walton building, affording them even more opportunities to spread their wings and have playtime with much more space to boot. So as well as the new Astro pitch, the Willow Village, the field if it's dry, the playground, there's now even more Astro areas for the girls and boys to be able to play during these more grizzly wet months, which I think is going to be a great enhancement, not just cosmetically but also practically. We've also installed 2 enormous monitors in Langlands and in the dining room. So again, these large rooms will be available for us to use for seminars or assemblies or divisional meetings or parent meetings. And again, you will notice the difference in the size of that screen and tech the next time that you are in the school. A big thank you to Miss Foster and 8F, who actually were the first users of that screen in Langlands. They presented a really informative assembly about Bonfire Night, its history, its heritage, and obviously some very topical safety tips. And in advance of this evening, we're excited to be hosting our very own fireworks party here at Kingswood House this evening. I can tell you that we have over 500 attendees, which is slightly daunting. It's quite a considerable number more than we've ever had in the past. It's reflective of us as a growing school. It's probably reflective of the fact that it's actually Bonfire Night tonight on the 5th, and not too many other places are running one. So I would urge you, please parents, to read with great care and attention the letter that was sent out last night by Mrs. Witts, giving you some important information about the evening. Needless to say, please wrap up warmly. I don't think it's meant to rain, but it will be cold because we are going to be standing on the field to watch the fireworks, not the new Astro pitch. It's important that the right footwear is worn. Make sure that the children, that you know which lavatories to use, and make sure please that no one is going indoors other than in Langlands Hall, which is where drinks will be served, and the barbecue will be outside of the DT studio. It promises to be a spectacular evening. I would also like it to be an entirely safe one. Our world leaders, with one notable exception, gathered in Glasgow earlier this week to discuss climate change and to agree preventative measures for the future. In our own small way at Kingswood House, we're trying to do our bit as well, and I would encourage all of you parents to read, please, about the Eco Coordinators Initiative, that's Miss Highlands, which is called Switch Off Fortnight. And if we all do our own bits and pieces to try and make small but important decisions, they will add up to a meaningful collective. So do look out for that in the newsletter. I wish all of our finalists for the public speaking competition the very best of luck for next Tuesday. I'm privileged to be adjudicating, and I look forward to hearing a high quality of entry. And I know that Mrs. Bray is extremely excited about that prospect and really pleased with the work that's been put in. So good luck to you, girls and boys who are in that. And likewise, Mr. March is delighted with the diversity of entries he's had for the Reading in Unusual Places photograph competition. I know that there's a few interesting staff entries and some fantastic ones from the children as well. So I'm sure there'll be a display knocked up out of those. Do watch this space. And that sort of marks the end of English enrichment from the first half of term. The second half of term is now mathematics. And a big thank you to Mrs. Linley for all of the preparation she's put in place for what looks to be a very stimulating few weeks in terms of mastery and numbery in the weeks ahead. On Monday, we have got a really big day at the school. Dominic Sambrook, the eminent historian, journalist, and now children's author, is coming in to talk to our upper prep boys and girls about his love of history, of writing, what inspired him, and to do some book readings. So please, if you haven't got involved in that, make sure that you are up to speed and able to get a signed copy of his book when he's in. We are very, very fortunate indeed that he's coming to us to inspire the children accordingly. We also then in the afternoon have our second tea and talk with Marinda Deprano, with the theme of wonderment. And I'm really excited about that, girls, and your families. I hope to see you all there. On Wednesday next week, we will be commemorating Remembrance. It's a solemn but very important occasion. And obviously, with the world as it is at the moment, we all know that the pandemic has had an adverse effect. Well, none more so than, in many ways, the First and Second World Wars, and the legacy of that lasted for many, many years and decades. And I don't want to forget the lessons, the important lessons for humanity that need to be derived from that. Even in the midst of the pandemic, we still need to remember beyond that, and that is something we'll be concentrating on in school next week. And finally, a very happy Diwali to all of our Hindu families. Let us hope that the symbolism of light shines brightly as a beacon of hope to all who need it at this time. Lots of mentions in dispatches this week, I'm pleased to report. So well done to Karen Lowe for settling into reception so well after half term, being a really great helper. We're really pleased that you've joined us, Karen, says Mr. Clerk. Well done to Rafi Martins for your reading in unusual places entry, says Mrs. Lambert. Well done to Phoebe Whiting for some great skills and enthusiasm in DT, says Mr. Bailey. And to Toby Haselden for creating a mini compost bin in half term as a part of their Science, Rocks and Soils topic, says Miss Smith. Into Year 5, well done to Teddy for some great science work from Miss Forbes, and to Harry Roberts for his work in maths from Mrs. Seaver. Well done Benji Adams for a great contribution generally in class from Madame Swift. To Lily Rose for being a finalist in that public speaking competition. Good luck to you, Lily, says Mrs. Seaver. Well done to Frankie, Nathan and Peter for their great entries in the Reading in Unusual Places competition. Well done to Peter and Samuel Ferreira-Lay for contributing very sensibly about their PSHE lesson about the COP26 climate change meeting. Well done. Rex Treadwell is trying really hard with his French reports, Madame Swift, and Thomas Hickman growing in confidence as well. Well done, Thomas. Into 7BL, Sebastian Versace has found a real passion for art this term, reports Miss Black. He loves sharing his drawings in form time and encouraged others to take it up as a hobby. Kishan always comes into school with a smile on his face. He's polite, always says good morning, tries to follow the Kingswood House way. Well done, Kishan. Alyssa, James Miller, Freddie Taylor, all showing a really good effort in computer science, says Mrs. Webb. Tristan Bush is showing good responsibility, taking care of his fencing foil in school, and I know that Tristan also had a recent assessment in that and did very well, so well done, Tristan. Pippa Taylor, really good public speaking, representing 7P in the final next week. Good luck, Pippa. Harry Peters has shown great emotional maturity, checking he had the correct prep to hand in, reports Miss Patel. Harrison West, well done for French. Tristan Bush and Alex Hayworth, really good work in computer science. George Dyson, Finley Rosendale and James Dowling, also highly commended by Mrs. Webb. Into Year 8, well done to Dylan Bishop for trying his hardest and giving 110%, reports Miss Foster. Mikey Sargis for being helpful, always the first to volunteer. Shay Chachalia for being chatty and smiley, making a difference positively to everyone's moods, reports Miss Foster. And Sam Carroll, very polite and friendly, being kind. Well done, Sam. Mr. Lordy's very pleased with Theo Walker for his contribution in PSHE. Josh Ars and Ollie Dimmick have been very conscientious homework monitors, reports Madame Taylor. Into the seniors, well done to Zachary Fitzgibbon. He's been very resilient and determined this week, says Mrs. Bray. To Ollie Gow, Bogdan and Patrick Gray for their excellent English work on Macbeth, reports Mr. March. Jack Rolls and Ollie Ward, well done for settling back in well after half term, says Mr. Hendry. Charlie Leonard and Oscar Davino have shown really good work in their first ever GCSE science papers. Well done, says Miss Patel. And Mrs. Webb would like to congratulate Bogdan, Lucas Cressy and Tobias Van Hennigan for their results in their end of unit tests on memory and storage. Into year 10, well done to all of Year 10H, Form 10H for being in the top 10 on ePraise for the house points, says Mrs. Hornsdatter. And Pete Duncan singled out for being very polite and always standing up when a member of staff comes into the room. Well done, Pete, says Miss Patel. 10W have worked together as a class and contributed to a really successful form assembly before half term up in Christchurch. Thank you, gentlemen, says Mrs. Weston. Milo Russell displayed a mature thoughtfulness and quiet determination in his mock interview last week, says Mr. Bailey. Well, I know he did, because I was on the other end of it, and I can say, Milo, it was my favourite 20 minutes of the week so far. You are an absolute credit, and your next school will be very, very lucky to have you join them in sixth form. So keep up the good work. Jessica Samampalai and Max Mitchell-Nesbert, both boys have returned to school ready and determined to do well in science. Well done, says Miss Black. And in particular, Madame Taylor would like to say well done to Jessica, Theo Spick and Jack Bettman for always being good role models. In 11W, Mrs. Wraith would like to say well done to Owen Fisher for being selected for the public speaking final. Eddie Fisher has done very well with his half-term work in science, scoring grade 8 and 9 on a reaction topic paper. Ryan Ludeman and Joe Offen have shown really good efforts with their half-term holiday work as well. And into Year 11 Computer Science, Ewan Walker, Ali Dawson, Daniel Idris, all fantastic results on their end-of-unit test on programming fundamentals from Mrs. Webb. And finally, Mrs. Bray would like to wish all of the finalists in the public speaking competition the very best of luck, performing their poems next Tuesday. I'm sure you can read all about that in the newsletter next week. So that wraps up what's been a wonderful return to school after half term. We really have had a very busy 5 days, and the next 6 weeks look equally action-packed. It really is important at this time of year to remember our core value for this term of respect. Starting with yourself, making sure that you are being the best person that you can be, treating others as you would like to be treated, listening carefully, being kind, and actually respecting your environment, picking up litter, holding open doors, making sure light switches are turned off, that windows are pulled down, and just making sure that your home and your school is looking and being the best that it can be too, because ultimately it's down to us as humans to put that into place. I wish you all a wonderful evening if you're coming to Fireworks tonight, and I will see you there. Otherwise, have a super weekend and see you bright and early on Monday morning.